what happened last session? You all, after saving some people from the library, Turlon and Felix got pretty burnt up in that fire.
Yeah.
Vita was just vibing. But after saving some people from this weird blue fire that was consuming this library very quickly, you were able to save some people and heal up using some nice green magic from Felix. Uh, got some people, coughing out smoke, coming back to consciousness. Chief Home came around and was very thankful to you all for saving, because he would have not been able to make it in time if you all weren't there to help out. Brought back the survivors, and then y'all like chilled for like an hour, just healed up a little bit. Felix used some this paste just on his skin. Turlon's drinking some stuff out of their chalice,
We're
getting
being
healed up a
unsettling
little bit.
individuals.
Yep, just some nice, just chilling out for a little while. And then you all had a conversation with Mrs. Viaton, or Mira Viaton, Mother Donipin, and Chief Home. You first were trying to figure out the direction of the storm, anything about the storm, so you were asking around to these various people, just the citizens of Losta, and you all were talking to each other in Elvish, and Felix had the idea, hey, I can summon a freaking, like, storm elemental, air elemental, and so y'all went outside, and the storm summoned it. It could only last for a minute, so y'all had to kind of rapid fire your questions. But two kind of major significant events occurred. At one point, the elemental looked up towards the sky, and you weren't getting anything from this elemental. It's like, alright, fuck it, I'm just gonna look up too. And Felix kind of had this revelation that there's these flashing of light blue lightning within the storm in the distance, and that same light blue was the same color of the fire that was consuming the library, as well as the light blue liquid that was melted from the crystals in the snow, and also kind of what Zhujan was just dripping out whenever y'all were attacking him. So all these colors seem to line up. And then you had asked the storm the question, where is the storm heading, or where the center of the storm? I don't remember what the question was, but the elemental just started taking off in the north, not going to say east, the northwestern direction, and was just booking it, and then eventually disappeared. And through that, you all kind of are assuming that the storm is kind of heading that way. You came back inside, talked about your findings with Mother Donipin, Mira, Viaton, and the chief, trying to talk about, well, the storm has kind of gotten a little bit not as extreme. It has kind of died down. It's still bad, but it certainly was worse like 24 hours ago. And that is the presumption that it's kind of heading towards the Serapi Peaks, which is to the northwest of the Zurun Dunes. Who knows why it's heading that way, but it is certainly heading that way, is what you all can presume. And then Chief Home kind of, said, oh, that's all great, but why the fuck was there an insider, one of his guards, Rayladen, tried to murder Mother Donipin and Mrs. Viaton? That's not cool. Apparently said he was part of the Vein Breakers. And so you all were talking, and through some nice intimidation tactics, you were able to get out of Mrs. Viaton that she actually secretly has held a position on a council within the capital of the Zurun Dunes, Oade, where there are 24 people on this council, 6 for every kind of region of the Zurun Dunes, and she is in the southeastern region, and they meet every 100 days to try and if we can help, they can determine if they can help out any of the regions by providing resources. And Mother Donovan seemed pretty pissed at this because she, you know, was not told about this. They're supposed to share everything, and she's one of the leaders, and apparently her own daughter never even told her about this. And the part that we landed off at, the very last thing, a little cliffhanger, is that the Zaroon guard comes and picks her up every 100 days. And how she gets to Oaid is she kind of holds on to the guard, and the guard pulls out this small, almost like a little bit bigger than a golf ball sized crystal, white crystal, and it kind of transports them to Oaid, and that's where she just ended with. And you all, what would you all like to say in response? Any questions? It's pretty quiet in the room because all eyes are on Mrs. Viaton right now. Mother Donovan looks pretty upset, and Chief Holm is also just looking at Mrs. Viaton.
Did we say anything last time after this?
That was
The
that
game?
was no, that was the very last thing.
I think we maybe just let them air out their family. I don't know what we stand to gain by intervening into this conversation. Frankly,
I want to ask. Okay, how do we get to 08 now if we don't have a crystal?
Good question.
Good question.
Good question.
Good one.
Keep it up.
Mrs. Viaton looks to you all and she says, I'm not sure how you would all get to OA. That's the only way I've ever traveled. I don't think, unless you all have a means of traveling someplace quickly, I don't know, genuinely. And Mother Donovan kind of looks to you all and says, I've never even, I've never even been to OA myself. I've only ever communed and spoken with other followers of Visir there. I don't know how to get there quickly. She kind of looks at Mrs. Viaton. It's the first time I'm hearing of these stones as well.
So, Mira, why would you? What is wrong with you? Why would you not say anything? We got here and you all were so mad at us, justifiably so. You just lost so many people here from this
I'm
terrible
gonna look to
storm.
you as you say justifiably so. Like I don't say anything, but I kind of like cock my
Yeah.
head and like stare at you.
Yeah.
And I don't like I look like I'm about to glare, but I just like shake my head.
And your people were suffering for so like literally this whole place probably be wiped out if we weren't even here. It still might be wiped out. Why would you not say anything or use any resources? What's the matter with you?
You'll see that Mother Donovan is kind of nodding along with you as you're saying this, Vita. You can all tell that Mother Donovan kind of agrees a little bit with what you're saying, Vita, and Mrs. Viaton, shakes her head a little bit and she says, it is not resources like that. It's spread across all of the dunes, and it's not like I can just control this. This was such a secret council that there was others that needed resources. And she kind of looks over at Mother Donovan. She says, Mother, for instance, remember just those dozens of days ago when there was the large shipment of the Tilgi wood that came from the forest. Those were some resources that I had asked for. And Mother Donovan, kind of does this, and she's like, Mira, we did not need wood. I don't know. Maybe a road to the main road would have helped at some point. Barely anybody knows about Lost Out here besides the people who live here. And Mrs. Viaton, she kind of is like, and Mother Donovan is like, not only just a road, but You know, for instance, our crops were not growing those hundreds of days ago. Why were there no resources that could be sent? I'm sure at '08 you know how much of an oasis it is. If there could have been any of that same
Hmm?
growing, well, I don't think she would not say magic. Yeah, I'll say she says magic. This growing magic that they have there in '08, why was that not sent there? And Mrs. Viaton's kind of just like looking at Mother Donovan, just her eyes getting wider, and she just says, uh, I, I didn't think of those things. And Mother Donovan says, that is exactly my point, Mira. If you had shared that information with me, we could have made these decisions together. These resources, whatever this is, I don't know anything about what this council that you speak of is, but by keeping it from me, you know, and she just seems lost for words. She's just shaking her head. And Mrs. Viaton says, she kind of looks over to you, Vita, and she says, I, I don't know how to contact them except for every 100 days when they come and get me. I don't. And that was around 50 days ago. I don't think that I could reach out to them
All
now.
right, whatever. They're useless.
I once again kind of look to Vita, kind of visibly surprised by the venom in his voice. Not
It's not even
disapprovingly
like
though. I
it's
just
not
like
even
look.
like hatred. It's just like whatever. Like, I'm done with you.
So kind of surprised by it. I just like look at you and I kind of
Yeah.
nod.
Well, we haven't even stopped the storm,
But I
so
think
and
it
you
appears
can't.
the storm is slowly moving.
Yeah, you can't give us any resources. We have no way to aid. And what?
I'll say that uh, Chief Holm, who's kind of been standing there, kind of looks around and says, you know, everyone go back to what you are doing. This this conversation deserves to be had in private. I'm sorry that you all had to witness that. And you see all the citizens around who have just been staring just blankly, all just kind of, and then Chief Holm then kind of starts walking forward a little bit, and he says, I'm going to thank you for all of, or thank you for stopping Rayladon, but I need to make sure that my other guards are not with him in any way. I need to go and speak with them. And then he kind of just starts walking off to the guards that are or a guard that is standing in the corner. And Mother Donovan kind of gestures over and she says, I wanted to speak to you all about the storm. You had mentioned something about Alcation when Mira had come in earlier after you had taken care of Rayladon. What is
I kind
that?
of perk up when she says that.
What do you know about Alcation? And she's kind of gesturing you for you all to kind of come over
I look back to you
so that they're not
guys.
like shouting across a room.
I look back to you guys as I start to walk up. I presume all three of us are strutting over.
Strut.
And I kind of shake my head. Well, not much, but can I can I say Rosetta Stone? Can I just assume that translates into some
Yeah,
cultural reference that is knowledgeable in this world?
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I say well we have something of a Rosetta Stone, if you will. When we went into Vaku's Peak for the what's the best word for what it was? Would you call it a castle or more like a fort? Or is it?
Yeah,
I mean, I know it kind of
yeah,
felt like
it's
a
like a fort.
cylinder tower, right? But I wasn't sure what the right word for
It
it
was
is.
just it was a cave really. It was more just carved into the mountain itself. So yeah, like a base.
Fort, right?
Fort is
So
a good one.
this there was a fort on top of the mountain of Vaku's Peak that seemed to be where there were many. I forget. Kevin Malls forgets.
No,
Were they do we remember if they were actual people? Because I thought we did our thing and then they were all suddenly gone and we weren't sure if they were like summons or killed or whatnot.
They were
Am
like
I remembering that
memory
correctly?
wiped to work there.
I thought. Do we remember? I could have sworn I thought I remember us. We did our thing and then we came back and they were all gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
we
were all
didn't.
gone.
We didn't have an opportunity
Okay.
to really figure out what the deal was with that because
Okay.
the goblin then launched us away on a beam of light and then tried
Right.
to kill us like literally right after, and
Yeah.
we've had
Right.
bigger problems since then. So
Yes.
There was some sort of as a group of, it must have been 20 or 40. I don't know what you call them, but they were seeming to be researching, working under the one who had inhabited the fort at Valkus Peak. They were researching things, researching, it seemed, the Acacian language. I pull out, I had written some papers, some page that I'd taken from one of the books, one of the research notes, showing Alcatian text next to what we had, I think, figured out had been the equivalent English text or common text, based on, like, the similarity in words.
Mm-hmm.
So it appears we have at least some set of translated Alcatian, and we think it is related to manifesting the storm. Perhaps controlling the storm seemed to be what they were doing at Valkus Peak. But I think the three of us have not yet completely had a chance to sit down and digest everything all of us individually saw at Valkus Peak. I look to the two of you. Anything else to add?
I mean, there
No,
was
it's
that
about that.
room I got sucked into. I almost got stuck there.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
probably. Yeah.
that's a white circle.
Yeah, the summoning circle that was pulling back the stone that um I know his name. The
Raylodon.
dude that tried to kill you, Raylodon.
Yeah.
The summoning circle that was like pulling him back also had Alcatian runes around it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, someone at 08 or whatever he was being summoned to also knows about Alcation in some way.
I'll say that.
Apparently, it's not common.
Yeah. I'll say that Mother Doniphan, as you're kind of handing over this piece of paper, Turlon.
Oh, I don't hand it over. I do not give it to her. I
Jeez.
hold it up to her. I do not give it to her.
Okay, well, I will say because of
If she
that.
tries to take it, I will actively pull my hand away. I don't want to be a dick about it, but I just want to make it clear I'm not giving it to her.
Okay, well, she does try and take it from you. Not like forcibly, just like as if you were like handing it to her.
I'm gonna
But
kind
you
of just
didn't.
pull it back and say I want to be careful
Okay.
with this. We only have one copy, and I'll hold it up to her.
Okay. And then she says, "You can see and make a perception check for me, Turlon."
Oh, I'd love to. I'd simply love to. Secret or not?
Not secret is fine.
Wow, everyone gets to see me with a 2, with a natural 2.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
You suck.
Okay.
I'll say that her eyes you notice that her eyes kind of furrow at the text. You're not entirely sure or able to make out what her face looks like when she's looking at the piece of paper. But I'll say that as she's kind of studying it, you're holding it up, Felix, you're talking about, how there's a stone that was pulling Raylodon, teleporting Raylodon somewhere else, that you had interrupted. And Mrs. Viaton looks to you, Felix, and she says, there was a stone, like a stone that transported. Was it like a slow transportation? Was it,
It
or was
sounds
it a
like the
slow
ones that the
fading?
guards used.
Oh, and she kind of, you know, she looks like she's thinking for a moment, and she says, "Well, those storms brought us to this kind of transportation hub of sorts that was underground in '08. I don't remember much about it because we were always rushing at the time, but I don't know if that is connected in any way to this vein breaker thing or not, but it may be the same stone. And you said that there was Alcation?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Reladon could have also been lying about being a vein breaker. We don't know.
She kind of
But I find
nods
it
to that.
likely that he would have been. I would say that is my hunch. That is just not a falsehood, but we have no proof.
I'll say Mother Doniphan is kind of looking, and I'll say now, as she's kind of looking over them more, three of you are able to tell in Mother Doniphan's face that there is a little bit of like worry. Not worry in the sense that like she looks like, oh my god, I'm worried, but more like maybe a little bit like sweat around the brow and just like furrowing her eyes and just like reading over it like quickly. Her eyes are kind of darting across the page. She looks to you all, and I will say, I'd like you all to make a diplomacy check, but do it with a +2
Sheesh.
circumstance bonus, because Mother Doniphan is fucking with y'all, especially after what Vita said about Mira.
You're 31. Your hate has brought you advantages, Vita. I know you said it wasn't hate.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't hate.
9.
9
When
total.
Craig rolls secret dice,
I
Oh,
said 9 total.
yes.
I bet he's lying about that 9. I bet he actually got a 25.
Yeah.
Ha,
Uh,
I'll roll again.
+7. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh. I'll say that as she's reading over, she kind of looks to the three of you and she says, well, I do want to say that what I know about Alcation is very limited, but it all comes from Vizier herself. And she asked me not to speak of it, but I think of the information, and she kind of looks up, like glances up as she's saying this. Information is probably most useful to you, and she's already been wrong once. And she kind of glances over to you, Felix. Mother Doniphan says, this must have been dozens of days ago or so, and she's whispering this at this point. It's not like, like only you all can hear it for sure. She's not like talking. It seems like she's hushed herself. She doesn't want to be relaying this out loud and she seems reserved about it. She doesn't want to be doing it, but she's still doing it anyway. She says, well, I had a dream ago. This must have been dozens of days ago, but I had a dream about I was walking in a place that was like the Zaroon Dunes. There was sand everywhere, but it was much flatter, and the sky was black, but I could still see everything as if it was light out. And she says, and I must have walked there for hours and hours, and then I finally came across just a patch of these glowing runes, and she kind of glances over at the piece of paper that you were looking at, Turlon. They were glowing this orange color, and as I approached them and as I got closer to them, they suddenly turned this deep red, and I felt such a pain in my chest that it woke me up. And she is kind of looking at you all, and you can see as she's even recounting this story, she, maybe slight shaking, just like it looks like it has frightened her then, as, she's getting frightened just talking about it now. And she says, so I went to commune with Seer to try and talk to her about it, to see what this dream meant. It was none like any dream I'd had before, and she took me to her realm to speak with her myself. She looks at the three of you and she says, that had only ever happened maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. And she says, and the look that I saw Vizier make was one I thought at first anger, but then I realized was fear just as much. She's told me never to speak of it again, but here's what I know about Alcation. And she kind of gulps because she doesn't want to. Seems like she really does not want to be saying this, but I think she trusts you all as a group and thinks this is enough information to pass on, is kind of the vibe that she's giving off right now. She says, what Vizier told me is that Alcation is Well, it's a language that is not spoken by any living creature on Sumia, and isn't even spoken by, or even isn't even spoken by the deities themselves. In fact, the way Visir spoke of it, I believe that she fears the language from what it represents. She says it was even from before her time. She doesn't remember a time where it was ever used. But the words themselves seem to hold some power, and they seem to be connected with something to do with, and she kind of looks to you, Turlon, as you had brought up the research that they were doing on the mountains. It has something to do with very elemental powers that seem to be even deeper than what the deities kind of can hold. I think that's why Visir is not able to stop this storm as well as she may be able to if this were just a normal storm and protect us. It has something to do with even some of the deities' powers is weak against it. And she, you know, as she's saying this in this very serious tone that, you can see that there's sweat forming on her face. She's even talking about it, and she says, if you say that there was this, that they were researching it there, and those runes that you, and she kind of nods over to Turlon, those runes, those symbols, those are the same symbols that I saw within my dream. Not the exact ones, but the same style.
The same language, yes.
And I have never seen it before in my life. She had told me to never speak of it again. But if you say that there was this research that's something to do with crystals within the snow, and she'll say this real quick. She'll say, and something with research, crystals in the snow and melting it down. I don't know if these crystals and the one you speak of, she kind of glances between you, Felix and Mira, the ones you speak of with this teleportation, I don't know if they're connected, but it appears that this Alcatian language is connected in these crystals in some way. And she looks to the three of you and she says, does the three of you know of any other crystals that you have come upon in your journeys?
Yeah, you know the one, Steven. I'll pull it out. I pull out the fucked up one.
Have I seen
So,
this? Wait.
the three of
Shut up,
you
how about
remember in the Shadow Realm, in Gorkir's realm, there was a small
Oh, is it the
kind of
tadpole
shard
one?
of a crystal that Turlon could see these little tadpoles within, but the others of you just see the small little purple crystal, this light purple
Oh,
crystal.
I will
And
have that. I will pull that out. I think is that a
the Shadow
yeah,
Realm
it's described in
one.
my inventory as green orb.
that's a
I
green
believe
orb.
this is the one.
No, that's the green orb that you pulled off of the body of the bugbear in your very
Is this
first encounter.
did you put this in my inventory then?
Yes. Or the thing? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, then you describe it.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
I thought I had it in
Was,
my inventory. That's why
I don't know.
I thought it was the green orb. That's why I was like I thought I had.
I'll
Okay.
add it. I'll add it later. That's fine. Maybe it got lost at some point, but it's this small, I'll say, it's like a shard, like if you were to pick up like a rock, just like in gravel, it would look like that, like it has kind of like a sharpened end to it. But it's this light purple crystal. And I'll say, this is the rest, what everyone else sees, I'll say this, is it pulls out and it's just this light purple glass crystal, right? Whereas kind of the white crystal from before, from which you can barely remember in like the 5 seconds that you all saw it, was more opaque. This one is more glass in nature. Kind of the light kind of reflects off of it. And as everyone just sees this light purple crystal, Turlon would all say what you see is you see these small little white dots, what I called before tadpoles, but just these small, like probably like 100 of them within this stone, and they are darting around furiously. And I'll say, Turlon, uh, make a will saving throw for me.
Oh, that's good. Okay, give me 1 second. I was writing a little description in my to add to my inventory for this.
Gotcha.
All right, that's enough for now.
Uh,
Will
yeah.
save 17. Oh, great.
As you pull out this stone, Turlon, and as you're looking at it, this thought crosses your mind. And you think to yourself, with the piece of paper, you didn't want to hand it off because, this is a one-of-a-kind, like, piece of paper, right? You don't want this to be in other hands. But you may trust, like, Felix or Vita enough to, like, hold it, right, to look at it. This stone, as you pull it out, this thought crosses your minds to where you think to yourself, I should not give anyone this crystal. No one else can hold this.
That's insane, because I swear to God, I was going to say I'm going to reach out and try and pick it up so I can look at it better. My hand is coming towards.
So, Turlon, you have this thought that says, only I can hold this crystal.
Oh, that's wild.
Okay.
And Vita, you start to reach for it.
Oh, let me see that.
Am I physically compelled to withhold it? I understand the mental. I just want to know.
Because of your will saving throw, just based off reflexes alone, like with the piece of paper, like you kind of move it out of the way, I'd imagine that it's worse than that. You would not want Vita to hold this.
Right, I guess point blank. I just want to. I'm still the able to how it react, but point blank, it isn't even an option for me to not yank my hand back.
With your will saving throw, no.
Okay. As you go to grab it, I kind of close my hand on it, like pretty quickly. I wouldn't say it's like a yank. I just I close my hand on it, and I almost you'd expect me to react to it, look to you and be say something, but it's just close my hand instantly, and then I kind of shake my head and look at you for a second, as if notably delayed from the actual hand closing. We should be careful with this thing.
All right, never mind. I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
I'm gonna roll it around in my. Oh, hi, Pluto.
Yeah. Eat the crystal. Eat the crystal.
Here's the crystal. You want the crystal, yeah.
Eat the crystal.
So I'll kind of you said it's not super big, so I'll kind of fiddle around with it in my hands for Pluto for a bit before I open my hand again and I hold it out to I'll say I try noticing what happened, picking up on it, being smart enough to tell what is happening, right? I think.
Yes.
I look towards Vita as I open my hand, and I just kind of start to move it towards them. What happens?
You start to try and move your hand towards Vita.
Yeah, I think, and tell me if this is metagaming it too much, but I think in this situation, Turlon was in the moment by whatever magic is going on in this thing, compelled to act against, or rather act without thought and close their hand, right? Out of some sort of magically compelled fear. And I think Turlon is smart enough to pick up on the fact that happened and be curious about whether or not they would feel the same again, or if it was just a one-off thing.
Yeah, so Turlon, give me a will saving throw for me.
I don't like that. 30.
You start to
easy
kind of move your hand towards Vita, and a thought enters your mind. What if Vita takes it? I can't have Vita take it.
This is weird.
And so I'll say that from this thought, your hand kind of stops. I think with your will saving throw, it doesn't close. You don't like draw away as if like
Mhm.
you'd have touched something hot, but you're not. You're this thought like think of it like getting close to the edge of a cliff, right? There is a certain point where you know you could go further forward, but your body and your brain is like, this is not a good idea to keep going forward, right? It's like that.
Hmm.
But I'll say in this moment as you're kind of holding it, Mother Donovan, not really noticing these small interactions between y'all because she doesn't know you all that well. She says, "And where did you find this stone
It was
or this
That's a
crystal?"
funny story about that one.
Tarlon seems like audibly like not focused or like spaced out when she says that before turning back to her. It was in the I turn back to you guys, the shadow rooms, right?
Yeah, I was in
Shadow realm.
Gorkir's room.
Yeah, Gorkir, yeah.
Does that mean anything to these people?
Mother
One way to
Donovan,
find out.
Mother Donovan, eyes goes wide. Gorkir's realm. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell if that's a what you went to Gorkir's realm or what the fuck are you talking about,
Yeah,
Lord?
No,
it
it is
crazy
definitely
town.
it's very much the first one. It's very much, she honestly she probably takes like a step back. Mira is just looking confused, but uh, she probably takes a step back and she says, "What on what what on Sumia? What on earth were you all doing in Korkir's realm? And why do you have that?"
I
We
don't
f-
know.
Well, this I just picked up because it looked interesting.
well
If I'm
we
being
yeah
completely
we
honest.
got in because in Riddock there were these shadow runes and they were kidnapping these weird critters were kidnapping people. And we wanted to stop that, so we followed them to wherever they were, and it was these fucked up shadow rooms, which turns out to lead to Gorkir's realm. Deeply unpleasant place.
She
I
says,
know.
I can very much imagine that. Yes.
They don't have any eyelids in there. You know that?
Yeah,
The people
they're
there don't have any eyelids.
it's not cool.
I also as this conversation is happening,
Mm-hmm.
you guys, I think I can carry on the 30 a little bit here. Turlon starts putting the thing back away as you guys are talking about it while they're talking, and it seems like I'd say both of you are perceptive enough to notice like Turlon suddenly realizes that they're putting it away, and like stops putting it away. Like they're opening up the bag, they go to drop it
Mm-hmm.
in, they like physically pause. They're not really drawing attention of themselves, but you
What
both are
is going
perceptive, so I
on
think
with
you'd see
you
it.
and that
And I
stone?
take it out of the bag again. I don't put it in the bag last minute, and I close the bag, and I keep holding on to it.
What is going on with you and that stone?
Is that Vita or Dylan asking?
Beta. You just because you like returned your hand and you're like, "Yeah, no," and then you're like, "Oh, what?" Like I'm noticing. I'm probably paying more attention to you just because I was reaching out for it than I am to Mother Donovan right now.
I look to you and I put my left hand in one of my pockets of my jacket. Fiddler, you guys wouldn't know this, but I'll just say it to Steven. I'm fiddling out my hero card deck, um, and I say I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I'm going to look at you, Vita, and then look back at Felix. I think I'm just gonna like sit down
I'll
and then
say, I'll say,
like
Trillon, give me
crisscross
another will.
applesauce.
Yeah, give me another will saving throw for me.
Will save throw to sit down. Is this Disco Elysium? 18.
I'll
A chair so uncomfortable it makes you quit your job.
I'll say you're saying I don't know, and you feel the need to sit down. I'll say the thought enters your mind. Vita's getting very suspicious. You need to put this away now.
I close my eyes like for a full like I'd say like 10 seconds without responding.
This is
Um
weird.
I was just staring at him, like, what the fuck?
I I don't. Hi Pluto. Look, he just doesn't care. I can just lift him.
What was that?
So chill.
Bow
Uh,
down.
I pull out the top side of my coat, and you hear a bit of jingling as the various trinkets all clunk about, and I put it in a pocket.
I'll say as
And
soon as you put it in the pocket, you feel this relief. I'll say this, Turlon, you're perceptive. I'll say this. I'll put it this way. Turlon, you're normally very aware of your body, right? Just as this whole display has played out, you are just now realizing that your heart was racing as this whole thing was going. It wasn't something you'd picked up until now, but as soon as the stone is out of your hand in your pocket, your heartbeat, you're aware of it now as it's slowly starting to go back down.
I look to you, Vita, and I say, whatever it isn't good.
True that.
Can I can't. Can I just touch it? I can do a little spell. Can I just touch it?
I don't think you need to tell me the reaction that invokes in my head,
Yeah.
Steven. And I stand up, and man, I'm gonna roll a secret check.
Oh God.
Not even Steven gets to know.
No, Steven gets to see it. Steven gets to see it. That's a private GM. Is a private GM, right? That's just you and me?
It's private GM, yes.
Okay. I don't do that. Okay. I just stand up. I don't do what I might have done for a second. I stand up and I say, I don't think that will end up well. Something. And I close my eyes again. And I seem like I'm like fidgety and just like kind of like pacing back and forth now. I have a sinking suspicion that wouldn't end well.
Okay, I'll turn to Mother Donovan and be like,
I would like
okay,
to find
so
a way
we
to
have
get
that.
rid of this. I would like to find a way to get rid of this stone.
Yeah.
Mother Donovan, I'll say, her eyes are kind of wide at the two of you. Mrs. Viaton doesn't like that her mother's kind of eyes are wide, but doesn't really understand truly what's happening. I think Mother Donovan kind of eyes wide are like, yes, I agree. I think you should get rid of that stone as soon as possible, or that crystal as soon as possible, but if that is what one crystal is doing, that I don't like to think about what are the other crystals.
Yes, let's take a moment to talk about the crystals. And I kind of like shake my head, and it seems that for now I'm kind of locked in again. And I like stand up straight. I regain some amount of, gosh, this is the right thing to say here, but it sounds like internet bullshit. I regain a certain amount of aura, and
composure, perhaps.
Plus 50 aura.
Composure is also a good word.
Mega aura.
Aura is the first word that came to my mind. And I say, what is it with these stones? I'd say I have a vested interest in understanding now.
Mother Donovan.
Says, you asked about weird stones. I presume this is what you expected to find? And I tap the spot where I think they all saw. I put it in my jacket.
Mother Donovan says, to be honest, I was not expecting some strange stone from Gorkir's realm. I was not expecting any of that. But if you said that there was stone within, there's crystals that were being melted down within the snow, on top of Mount Vasir, was that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll
I don't believe we saved any, did we? I looked to the two of you.
Nope.
We didn't bring any. No.
You did not. And I'll say, as you're all saying this, Mother Donovan finishes the words, and there were melting crystals within the snow, right? And you all are like, yes. And you hear a voice from a group of people over here. You're kind of just talking to each other, but from within a group of people, you hear, did you say crystals in the snow?
Oh,
and
God.
this older man.
To redo my reaction, I went.
Oh, Jesus.
This older man who is dressed kind of in these raggedy clothes, but lots of them kind of almost pops up, moving
Oh,
better than what you'd think an old man would do. And he says, "Did you say crystals in the snow?" And kind of moves on over. I mean, you all were just talking normally, and everybody else has kind of been talking around, but this guy just appears out of nowhere and says, "You crystals in the snow." You were
Yeah,
saying,
man, crystals in the snow.
yes.
uh,
You didn't
this,
even give us time to respond. Yes, crystals in the snow. Okay.
I said, did you see crystals
I
in
heard
the
you, man.
snow?
We heard
We
you.
heard you.
Everyone here heard you, brother.
Mrs. Viaton, you see, kind of, startled by this, and she says, "Now," she says, "Now, Grobby, you don't have to." And
Oh,
Grubby?
no.
Grobby,
No.
Grobby?
Grobby.
Robbie with a G?
Grobby.
That was my
Come
exact
on,
thought,
man.
Craig, in the shower.
Come on.
Robbie with a G. I was like,
Robbie.
I gotta name somebody that. So anyway, Mrs. Viaton
Okay.
says, you
Okay.
hear
Two different notes.
Mrs. Viaton say,
Uh,
"Now, Grobby, you don't have to." And Grobby says, "No, I think I can contribute." And he's kind of looking around, and Mrs. Viaton says, "Really, Grobby, it's..." And Mother Donovan kind of cuts her off and says, "No, let Grobby speak. He is just trying to help out with the situation." And Grobby says, "Thank you, Mother Donovan." And he kind of looks to the three of you, and you can see now that the picture that is very accurate. He kind of has this white hair that is pointy on the top and on the sides. He has this little white beard, and you'll notice that his eyes are quite wide. It doesn't seem like he does have eyelids. I do want to say that. It's not like he has no eyelids, but he's just like looking at the three of you with these wide eyes, and he says, "Now, nice to meet you three." And he reaches out his hand.
Where have you been this whole time?
I shake the hand of this very obviously autistic old man.
He reaches out. He says, "Now, nice to meet you all. I'm Grobert. I am the glassmaker."
I'm gonna kill myself.
I'm the...
I take that back. I shoot him with a gun.
Uh-uh.
I take a step back from Grubby. Can you unfreeze the
Right, Robert.
Yes. Grobert says, "I'm Grobert. I'm the glassmaker here at Losto. It's nice to meet you." You shake the hand,
It
Felix.
is a pleasure to meet you too. Yes.
Do you shake his hand, Vita?
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
What about you, Terlon? You don't shake his hand? You're the third person. He's going from left to right.
I look to the spot of my pocket and I take a step back.
I say, Turlon doesn't shake hands. Don't worry about that. It's nothing personal.
He says,
I think you would be smart enough to remember that your character would be smart enough to remember that I've been going by the name Bristol in this.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Bristol. Grobby says, "Well, that's okay. No worries. I am Grobert. They call me Grobby, though. But I..."
No, man.
Man, we get it, man. Get on with it.
He's an older.
I'm
I'm gonna shake this guy to death at this point.
Just tell us your
POV Grubby.
He says,
no.
"You said they were melting crystals in the snow. Well, guess what? And he kind of sighs for a second. He says,
He's gonna die before he gets to it.
I make some of the finest glass in all of Sumia, and
We don't want glass.
I'm getting there. He holds up a finger, and I make some of the finest glass. And because of that, I have to go on adventures to see and find the finest grains of sand out. I can't get just any normal grains of sand. It doesn't make it strong. It doesn't make it last. And I need to find the best sand. And so I do this. And when I've gone on my adventures, and he kind of, this whole time he's kind of doing a little grin. When he says, "And I've been going on adventures," his face kind of slacks for a second, and he looks, and his still eyes are wide, and he says, "Sometimes I find patches of sand, and they glisten in the sun." Does sand glisten? Do you all know if sand glistens? No. I've seen lots of sand in my life, and it doesn't glisten, but yet there's this patch. And I get real close, and he kind of takes a step forward. And I'll say instinctually, you probably take a step back when he takes a step forward. He says, and I get real close, and I look down at the sand, and what do I find in the sand? I find little, tiny, little crystals. And of course I need to take this sand. I mean, this is not something you just see every day. I've only maybe found it maybe 2 to 3 times ever in my lifetime. And I've taken this jars of sand, and let me tell you, I've tried to melt it, but it melts. These little crystals melt into this little goo right before everything else melts. The sand, it melts at a very high temperature, you know. And it ruins the mixture. It ruined it. But, you know, and he kind of looks angry when he says it ruined it. But, and he looks, you know, he kind of pauses for a moment. He says, but you all are talking about how they melted down crystals in the snow. And what? What did they do with this melted concoction?
Drank it.
He drank it up.
His eyes,
Seemingly gave them some sort of power, I guess.
Turned them big and blue.
They put in a big bowl on the
And
ground,
icy.
and they drank it.
Nice.
They did icy things, icy attacks and elemental spells and whatnot.
You're all
Nasty
speaking,
stuff.
and his eyes are somehow getting wider, and it looks like a smile's growing on his face. And he says, well, I have...
deeply physically unwell with this man.
He says, well, he's been making glass for a long time. Let's just put it that way.
No PE protection.
He says, well, I have a jar of some of it as the stuff. How about let's try and melt it and drink it. Come, follow me. And he starts running
Alright.
past you all.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I looked
He,
at
like-
Donovan and I just kind of like,
He is not waiting for you all.
I'm walking with
he's-
this guy. I'm not questioning it.
Like
He
a
did-
beat passes, and I say to the other two, we're going to watch an old man die.
Oh,
All right.
This is why Ton says, you all don't have to follow if you don't want. And Mother Donovan
we
says,
do.
it sounds like he could be onto something, Mira. He's already off. Vita, you're already following. Are you, both of you following along?
Yep.
yeah, I guess.
As soon as you get to the top of the staircase, Grobby kind of looks back at you all, and the way he is very springy for how old he looks. He has very wrinkled skin. He looks like he is he's got a pep in his step, that's for sure. And he looks back to you three as you're kind of approaching, and he says, now follow me closely. It's within the ground. And he
alright.
the guard that's at the top of the stairs opens up the gate, and it is now snowing at this point. Snowing rather vigorously. I'll say make a perception check, the three of you.
I'd love to.
And it could be private, or it could be no. You don't like Grobby sideways. It's just the way he's facing, dude.
Please put him up, right?
It's the way he's facing it. It's the way he's
not
facing.
facing me.
He's not facing. I'll say that all of you are able to tell as you kind of get into the snow from all of your escapades and from when you first walked through the holy shit,
Oh
when you
God.
first walked through the storm, like a couple as you first walked through the storm some hours ago at this point, it's gotten a little bit less strong. It's still certainly a blizzard, but it's certainly not as pressing as it was and harder to walk through. You can kind of see Grobby like, 5-10 feet in front of you, just the outline of him, whereas before you don't think that would have been possible. But I'll say you all follow him for a good 200 feet. Is there anything you say to each other, to Grobby, as you're kind of just making your trek through following Grobby?
Yes.
What do you say?
I looked at Vita and I say, sorry about earlier. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something. There's something about that stone. I hadn't realized it until just now when you reached for it.
It's fine. I get like that with some things too. So, you know, sometimes you just have your little objects and you don't want people to
I wouldn't
touch
call
them.
it my object, and I have no personal affinity for it yet.
Oh,
Yet
Huh.
the mere thought of it being taken from me.
yeah. All I was gonna
It
do
doesn't
was
it doesn't bother me right now. But again too, you reach out and right now to try to grab it from my pocket, and I think it would strike a fear into me that I've never felt before.
oh,
I like
okay.
shake a little bit. I don't like it.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna do that. Um, I was gonna just touch it and make a blood duplicate. See what would happen if I duplicate one of those stones. You know, maybe something crazy would happen. But
What even
you know
could
what?
this stone be, by the way, while we're thinking about it? Because I feel like we didn't give it much thought last time. And why do I see
Uh,
the ears in it, but no one else does? I take it out again to look. No ears, no white dots floating around. I hold it up.
I don't know.
Notably, I would say
No.
Turlon doesn't think
Oh no, I
about it.
do. I do.
They hold it further away from Vita than other people, or than
I'm just
Felix.
mistaking the snowflakes for tadpoles.
They
I
still
don't.
don't see everything.
I don't see it. You know. I don't know it.
Oh no. Wait,
I
no,
see
I
it,
don't.
right?
No way.
Yep.
Yeah, you look in and you see, and I'll say that the tadpoles, like these little things, I mean, it's hard to see kind of outside, but they are darting
Don't, brother.
around. Yeah.
Don't fucking do that.
The only thing I can think is we went to the mountain, they were blue. I come here, I get sucked into a stone room, that's white. Mother Donovan has a dream, that's red. This one, purple, like me. Maybe, and we don't know what this guy, what he might have. Maybe the colors have something to do with it.
I'm failing to see the connection.
Maybe, maybe purple is bad, blue
He's
is
cooking with
ice,
this.
red is probably also bad. Okay,
Bad
we gotta
how?
think about it
Let
more.
him cook. Let him cook.
We gotta think about it more.
He has
Keep
a
that in mind.
couple ingredients. He's got a
We're
He's
probably
couple.
there
gonna
by now.
he's gonna
Mhm.
eat a lot more to make a healthy and
Yeah.
nutritious
Hey,
meal, or a healthy and
hey,
delicious meal.
Keep it in
Yeah.
mind.
gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. He's as you all kind of stop, you see Grobby suddenly stop, and or he's starting to slow down, I'll say, and you kind of get approach him, and you can hear him counting out loud. You can hear him say,
Um,
uh, you can say 155, 156, 157, 157, 158,
He said
159,
157
160.
twice.
I, he looks
You're at,
back at you.
you're
He
at
said, "Oh,
161 right now.
it's close enough." And he kind of goes down and he starts doing this
He's
in the snow.
digging.
Yeah,
wait, like
and
with his
Oh,
hands?
okay.
yeah, he's digging. He's starting to dig in the
Got it.
snow.
That
Uh,
could be good for your hands.
he's not paying attention. He's just going to town, and I'll say that after a good like 10, 15 seconds, he's cleaning and he smacks his hand into the ground, and instead of hearing like this, like what you would expect hitting like dirt or something or padded snow, you kind of hear this wooden sound of like wood being smacked. And he says, "Ah, found it!" And then he clears off an area, and you can see him kind of pull open this like 5 foot by 5 foot trap door that's just in the ground. There's no landmarks around at all. And you can kind of vaguely see that there's a ladder heading down. And he says, I'll go first and I'll make it light. And he starts climbing down. And he says, "Come!"
I, I mean, I'm in front. Can I see anything?
Like you
Yeah.
look down.
Yeah.
I'll say without even you don't need a perception check. You look down into this hole, and right now it just kind of, it looks like the ladder just keeps going down, and it's just black at the bottom.
I'm just gonna cast a cantrip. I'm just gonna cast Illuminate just to
Okay.
see.
I'll
30-foot
follow
emanation just
the.
down this hole. Turn on any light.
This is so fun. What is this save? Oh, it's an unwilling creature. Oh, okay, I see. I'll say as you're looking straight down this hole and you cast this spell, suddenly there is a roaring light, this big bright light that this kind
There
of
we
this
go.
orange-white light appears at the bottom, and it looks like there's like this 20-foot deep hole with a ladder heading down, and you can see that there's a ground at the bottom. And Grobby is climbing down, and he sees it, and he looks up and he says, "What was that? Who's down there?" And he looks down and he starts climbing down even wildly, even
I'm not even
quicker.
gonna reply. I'm just gonna climb down.
Did the three of you start climbing down?
I say, this place sucks. And I climb down.
I take a solid 15 seconds after Felix climbs down, thinking.
Just thinking
Feel
about life.
feel for the crystal again,
Mm-hmm.
and then head down.
Yes, it is there. I will say, as you get down Vita first, you see. I'll say that you see. What lies in front of you. I'm gonna just pull real quick. I'm gonna pull you all into like this is just another another map. It's just on a blank page that I just quickly drew it because I didn't know if we were gonna come here or not. Let me pull Grobby in.
You introduced Grobby. You think we're not gonna follow him?
I didn't know if we would get to Grobby.
Is he stupid?
I didn't know if we would get to Grobby.
Well, he named an NPC Grobby, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
That should
did.
answer it for you.
That's true. But it's also, you will see, it's the least complicated map ever, so I was just like, I'm not going to make something. Where the fuck? Oh, I'm in the NPC section, that's why it's, you all aren't here. I would do it.
I don't know.
Sorry, intermission. Intermission. Go. Activate.
Ah!
So as soon as you get to the bottom of this ladder, the three of you, what you see is this small room, like we're talking 15 feet by 15 feet, just little stone room that is maybe like only like 7 feet tall. So like even if you're like 6 feet tall,
Why is he looking at me like that?
he's not looking at. Is he looking to the
Yeah,
side?
look at his eyes.
He's looking dead ahead, I think.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
That's just how he looks.
That's
dude.
worse.
That's worse. Look at his eyes. Just the shadows, dude. But you see this small room. It's a stone room, and this is the way I can describe it. It's like probably like 7 foot tall ceiling. So none of you have to crouch, but the ceiling is certainly like right above your heads.
Creasing my hat.
And you see, yeah, exactly. You see on one end of the room is this furnace, this large furnace that kind of comes out of the wall on the opposite side of the ladder, which is currently alight, and it's a roaring fire. It's this pile of coals that you see beneath like this kind of this stone base that appears to be where he may be melting sand into glass and doing some glass blowing or something like that. And you see this furnace that is now currently alight. You see Grobby frantically starting to move things around. You see shelves just on the sides, just filled with jars, little glass trinkets, everything you can think. In the corners behind the furnace or by the furnace, you just see stacks and stacks of books. And then in this corner, in the back right corner, you see that there's just this mattress just laying on the ground. That appears to be where Grobby may sleep. And what I will say, are all of you wearing shoes of some sort?
Yep.
Yeah.
Never had to think about this before. I hope so. I
I
think
am. I know I am.
it's shoes are normal in Sumia, right?
Yes, you all are
Then
wearing
yes,
shoes.
I'm wearing shoes.
I will say, you did have to worry about wearing shoes in the shadow room. But I will say, as you enter, you notice just across the whole ground is just a whole bunch of it's a mixture of sand and what you can tell very obviously are shards of glass just
shit.
on the ground. Just it's covering the ground. and it's a very wild sight to be down here, but it's well lit because of the furnace that is now alight. And Grobby, as soon as you come down, Vita, I'll say because he sees you first, he says, "It just turned on by itself. Is that something you all did?"
Oh yeah, I did that. I don't want to fall down any holes again.
Again.
He kind of cocks his head a little bit. He says, "Well, by gods, you all are really magic." And he turns around and he starts fiddling with kind of the shelves. And I'll say, Turlon, you get down to this point. And he finds a jar on a shelf that's probably like as big as like a mason jar. Like, yeah, I don't have a mason jar. I don't know why I started looking around as if I had a mason jar around here. But
It makes Steven. I wouldn't even worry about it.
There you go, dude. There we go.
I wouldn't even worry about it.
Let's go. Is that the
That's my
blackberry?
moonshine.
Yeah,
That's the
they're
blackberry
blackberry
moonshine that I
moonshine.
had none of because it's awful. Oh my god.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
jar sucks.
The jar does.
Okay.
Jar's
The
got a
black-
car. Yeah.
That's like an old ass truck full of blackberries. Fuck
Mhm.
yes, dude.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Yes.
Welcome
Fuck
home.
yes. I
But
drink a potion out of this big time.
he pulls out a jar, and he pulls out this jar, and it's a jar of sand. But he puts it up, and he kind of is spinning it a little bit in the light in the middle of the three of you, and he says, "You see, it sparkles, right? It sparkles." And as you're looking at it, it is quite obvious that within the light, there's just these small reflections, maybe every like inch or so. And he says, "Here, does anyone want to take a closer look? You can see there's crystals. There's little things." Do you take it from everybody? He's offering it to everybody.
Sure, man. Yeah, I'll take it.
You
When
take
in,
it.
when in Grobby's basement home,
Yeah,
I'll look at
give
his
it to
fucking
Felix,
glass,
man.
whatever.
Do as Grobby does.
Pass the glass around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll refrain. I'm good.
I'm good with crystals.
I like to watch.
Yeah. I'll say Felix and Vita, as you are looking at it, I'll say that you all notice this about, I'll say Felix, especially you, because you went around in rat form at the Vaku's fortress, that'd be crazy. Oh, my fortress.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. Oh.
Vizier's Mountain,
Lord.
Vaku's Peak, Vita's Peak.
Yeah,
It's all
fortress.
making sense.
It's all
making
coming together.
sense.
Vaku's Peak, I'll say you noticed that the snow, as there was kind of the moonlight pouring in, as the snow kind of poured in from a hole within that ceiling where that basin was, the snow kind of had a sparkly glint to it, kind of sparkled in the light. It didn't look like normal snow, I guess, which does kind of sparkle a little bit, but like it was distinctly different. I remember you perceiving that. And as you're looking at this jar, you notice that it kind of shines in a very similar way, but the light is not light blue. It's these small little orange crystals, like this orange. Maybe they're like as if a pea, right? Like peas were, it's these little tiny, that size crystals,
guys,
which
it's
is
a new
very
color.
obvious in the sand.
Yeah,
You say out loud, it's a new color.
Yeah.
There's something to the color thing. After you're passing around the jar, and he says, "Let me try and melt it. Let me try and melt it." And he kind of gets out one of this big metal tool that
No need to beg, man. This is your stuff.
Yeah.
And he says, "You're right. This is my stuff. This is what I do."
Yeah.
And he gets out this big like metal, like kind of like a pizza handle thing, but it's metal. And he kind of gets it out and he dumps a bunch of sand on it, and he says, "You see," and he's kind of talking as he's doing it. He says, "You see, if I put it on the metal, then the sand's not going to melt, but the crystals will melt, and I can then just take out the sand." And he starts pouring it out, and he kind of pushes it into the furnace, and he's kind of holding it, and you can see him kind of rolling it. Do you all say anything to each other or to him? He's kind of muttering to himself as he's trying to melt down these crystals.
I'm just in awe of the man in front of me.
This is the Grobby show, and I'm
We
watching.
didn't know him 10 minutes ago.
Grobby's Earth, and we're just living on it.
He heard crystals in the snow, And he perked right up. And he starts, I'll say after about like 2 or 3 minutes of just watching the Grobby show, you'll see he'll kind of exclaim out, and you'll see, you can see, they're kind of melting, and he kind of pulls it back, and he wants you all to look. He's like, pointing at it, and if you look at this pile of sand, you can see that just the little crystals that were in it, as if like there's just these small little things of goo that are forming on top, as the sand is obviously this very hot sand. He'll say anything as he's kind of showing it off.
When can we drink it?
He says, "Oh, once I get all the sand away, I got. Oh, yeah, absolutely." And he kind of puts it back in. He says, "Can you? What's your name again? I don't remember." And he's looking at you, Vita.
Vita takes a second because he forgot if he told them a fake name or not, and he just says Vita.
Are you going to drink that?
Yeah.
Vita, don't drink
We
that.
came here to drink.
No, we did not.
We came here to drink
I
this.
don't think any of us
We
know
came
why
here
we
to see
came
what the
here.
fuck he was talking about.
We should. Krabby says, "I think we should drink it.
Why don't
One of you should drink it."
Why don't you drink it first,
You
Robbie?
made it.
Okay.
I could drink it, but
I'm next.
I could drink it. I don't know how much it'll make.
Small sip.
I don't know how
We'd be
much it'll
honored if
make.
you drank it first.
Oh, yes, I can drink it first, yes.
You need to sample the wares, man. You gotta do it.
I love this idea. I love it. And he's...
so convincing him to kill himself.
I don't think it'll kill him.
You should drink it first.
He's kind of melting it down, and he says, "Okay, it's starting to get down. And he kind of pulls it out, and he says, what's your name again?" He's looking at you, Felix.
My name's Felix.
Felix, nice to meet you. Can you get that? And he kind of points his head at it, and it's one of those big fan things that like blows.
Bellows.
Yeah, the bellows. Yes, yeah. You get one of those.
Grab it.
And he says, "Okay, Vito, you move back. And he says, "Now blow. You're gonna blow all the sand away, okay?" And you'll see at this point, you kind of see like these little holes. Just the corner is fine.
Brown.
Just the corner is
the corner. Do I see a large pile of sand?
There is actually a pile of books in the corner. He's asking you to point it at that.
Okay.
Right at your books?
Yeah, he says, it's fine. I've done this before. I'll just dust them off later. We need to do it. Okay. Otherwise it's going to start hardening.
All right.
I'm blowing on him.
You start pushing it in this hot fucking sand. I'll say, Vita, how far back do you move?
I don't think I do at all. I don't feel that heat like everybody else does.
I'll say you kind of get these stray like things of sand, and it feels warm on your skin as it kind of brushes past, but you can tell it's a similar warmth to when you were like
in the burning building.
Yeah, just in the burning building. It's like you can tell that this would be really hot if it weren't you.
Yeah, guys, maybe get back a little bit.
But I'd say Turlon and Felix.
Step back.
Yeah, you get back a little bit.
But you're in this tiny room.
True that. You're blowing back this sand. It's kind of blowing towards the books. And eventually, after enough blows, you kind of have this thin layer of like this goop that has this bright orange goop that has a very similar look to the blue liquid that you all had seen before at Valku's Peak. But it has like a bunch of sand in it still. And he says, Vita, on that shelf over there should be some empty cups. Empty cups. It should be enough for two. And you're looking at the shelves. You're looking around the shelves, and you just see there's just cups. Variously strewn around.
Grab some cups.
And he says, perfect. And he starts bending, and he gets another metal tool from the side, and he starts scraping off the goo into these 2 cups. And I'll say in terms of total, it's probably like 4 tablespoons. Like think like 2 2 spoonfuls, so it's like in each cup it's not a lot. And these are like small cups, so it's not a lot of liquid that was produced just from
Yeah.
this one jar.
Alright.
And he pours it out and he puts away the metal thing and he's like, he looks gleeful almost. All the
Go
noises
on.
he's making, it's almost like he's gleeful. And he says, "Should I drink it now?" And he holds up a cup and he looks to you all and he says, "Should I
Man,
drink it
do you know
now?"
what this does?
He says, he kind of, his eyes kind of go outwards a little bit and he says, "Well, I thought it gave the person on top of the thing powers or something."
Yeah, I think that's what it'll do. It's my guess.
Are we
Vita
gonna-
says.
Yeah,
Robbie
try it,
turns into
Robbie.
Shusha.
Try it, Robbie.
He says,
Take a little sip first, small sip.
Indeed, I'm gonna private re-roll some dice.
That's good. That's good. That's good news, right? That's good.
I don't want this guy to die in care. Okay, Alex would be fine. I'd laugh so hard if he died. Felix does not want this old man to die, despite everything.
Despite all my rage.
Despite everything, I'll say that it's so close. I'll say that he starts to go up with it, and he says, "And it's very hot. I don't know if I should have it. It might burn me." And he
Oh, yeah.
kind of looks to the
Well,
three
I'll
of you,
just go
says,
first then.
"Should we?
It's not gonna burn me.
It's not gonna burn you."
No, I think nothing burns me. That's just a thing.
Vita, don't. You're not drinking it. Grabby's drinking it first. Go on.
Says,
It
"Well,
doesn't seem like he wants to
if
drink it.
if
I
it doesn't,
have-
we could just wait a moment. It'll cool
I
down,
have
I'm sure.
I have heal and restoration ready to go.
You can heal me."
Within some.
Yeah.
He says,
You won't be
Felix
able to
is
heal.
like, I should not have said that in front of Robbie.
he says,
Because I was looking directly at Vita and I was like, I can heal you. And Grover's like, you can heal me? I guess, man.
I
Sure.
think Felix saying that. I think Vita's just gonna drink it.
"Okay,
Vita's not worried.
okay."
In my impression, he was like, "We need to go out to my
Never
place
been
and drink
worried,
it."
Kevin.
No.
Never been.
And then
worried.
Felix is like, "I can heal you." I'm like, "Okay, I'll drink it."
Right.
Vita, I'll say, how quickly do you
Right.
drink it? Just a sip? Do you try and do it all in
I
one
just
gulp?
drink it. It's just like a couple tablespoons.
It's
like,
probably one swallow. Yeah, it's like,
It's like a shot.
yeah,
it's a shot. Yeah, basically, it's not a lot
I'll
of
drink
liquid.
it.
Just take a
Shot.
shot. I'll say as soon as it enters your mouth, it is like this warm feeling. It's not.
Mm.
It's very similar in terms of you feel like it would have burned your mouth, but yeah, I'll say based off of your conversation, it's cooled off enough that it's wouldn't even. I don't even have to roll damage for you in terms of your resistance, but I will say, as you drink it, you can feel it's not only just warm, it's a little gritty because there's still some sand in it, in this goop, and it's also, it drinks like a carbonated beverage. But I'll say, yeah, it's like it
This shit
makes the mouth
drinks.
feels, it makes your mouth feel like a carbonated beverage, but you all have never experienced like that in Sumia. So it's like that, but Vita, you've never
Wait,
experienced that.
Sumia doesn't have Coke?
Century peasant
What
drinks
the fuck?
Coca-Cola for the first time.
Coca-Cola, exactly. This is
Maybe
Fanta.
I-
Thank you very much. It's orange.
Maybe you have to wear Loco
Uh,
to an uncontacted tribe.
I'll say,
Oh.
as soon as you drink it,
He becomes a prophet.
you unfortunately can't have that reaction, Vita, because all
Uh-oh.
of your muscles in your body instantly tense up, and your body like extends. Like I really, I think this visual is so funny to me, but it's like it's a little bit more concerning than that, obviously. But it's like, in the Lego. What
Why
is
is
that
this
gift?
Why is this gift have to do with Krabi?
What is
That's
this
probably, if he
gift?
that's probably if he has the potion. That's probably if he has the potion, dude.
Grubby. I'll say, as this visual is, it's obviously the three of you are much more concerned, but this visual is exactly how I think it is. As in the Lego movie, like when, they're bending over and then just the next frame is them just Like they're just
Yeah.
perfectly straight up like a minifigure. Like
Oh,
it's
God.
almost that quick. Like your body suddenly tenses up so much that your back muscles are competing with your core to keep like it's as if your skeleton is just at the mercy of all of your muscles contracting at once, like the
Do
hams
I
curling.
notice? I mean, I know I notice
Yeah,
it, but I can't tell what's actually going on.
Yeah, you can tell that all of Vita's muscles are tensing up. I'll say that you've all like had cramps before, so it looks like that, but Vita, your face is like your neck's contracted, your eyes are like wide open, and it is just as painful as a cramp across your entire body. But it only lasts that way for like a second or two. And Vita, I'll say, as your body suddenly relaxes, I'll first describe how you feel. First off is you feel this warmth across your entire body, but it is not warmth in terms of like what you felt before in terms of the heat, or if you had a hot drink. It's as if your body temperature has kind of gone up. Like it's as if you were hot, right? Like you wanted to sweat, like you were standing outside for a while. It's like that, but all of a sudden. And I'll say that you also just feel, as you're kind of adjusting to yourself, you feel stronger, but not as if you just like had a strength potion, which I don't think Vita you've ever had a strength potion.
Nope.
But the way I
This dude's
think
never had a strength potion.
the way I think of a strength potion is it's you but stronger. Whereas the way this feeling is as if you were just a bodybuilder. Like I imagine a bodybuilder just mentally sees a heavy box and is like, oh, I can pick that up. They don't think of it as heavy, right? Whereas I see a box and I think it's heavy, right? So it's a little bit of that. It's just you feel just slightly, you just are stronger as if you had the strength of a bodybuilder. And I'll say you feel these things. Felix and Turlon, make a perception check for me. And make this one private GM rolls or blind GM roll. Sorry.
That's good. That's good. Roll to see the thing that will hurt you.
Vita does it again.
Rolled it. Rolled it.
It's not gonna hurt you. That's good. Felix, I'll first describe what only Felix sees, and then I'll describe what you both see. So Felix, you notice that Vita is just slightly taller, like maybe like an inch. Like I'm talking like you're looking at my camera, just the difference between this and this. But you notice just
noticeable.
It's like noticeably just like an inch taller, and in this room, it's just taking up a little bit more space. But what I'll say you both noticed, because Grobby was, looking up very excitedly, but is now looking down at your feet. And Felix and Turlon, you're looking at Vita's feet. And I'll say, Vita, as you see everybody's looking around you, looking at your feet, you look down, and you see that the sand that was on the ground beneath your feet is just within like 6 inches of your feet. It's just slowly shifting in this counterclockwise motion around on its own. In no way, you are not, there's no wind in here. There's nothing happening, but the sand is just kind of slowly shifting around your feet as everyone is now looking down at that. Does anybody say anything? Those are the things that you notice in this moment. Vita, your whole body tensed up, and then in this quick moment, you're looking down. You're hotter physically. You are
stronger, taller.
You feel stronger. You look taller, and there's the sand moving around your feet.
I looked at
So how do you feel?
Are you okay?
I feel good.
Okay.
One of you guys should drink the other one. Don't let him drink that.
I walk over and I take the other one from Grobby.
Yeah,
Grobby, like is just holding it, and he's not even paying attention to the fact that you just took it, and he's looking at your feet, Vita, and he says, Are you doing that? And he points down at the sand at
Oh
your
no,
feet.
no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Surely it's the potion doing that, right?
Yeah.
Is potion
What
even a
happens if
good
I
word
lift
for
up a
this
foot?
thing? And I start swirling it around.
One, two things at
Yeah.
a time. One, Turlon, what did you say? What did you say, Kevin?
Oh, I just remarked it. I said, surely it's the potion doing it. As I swirled it around, and then I said, could you even call this a potion?
Vita, you lift up your foot,
Yeah.
and
Like,
I'll
what's
say,
happening, huh?
as you lift up your foot, some of the sand that was around, like your left foot, say, if you raise it, kind of lifts up for a second and then falls to the ground.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it's me. I don't know. One of you guys should still drink this. You'll get
Why?
it once you feel it. You'll understand.
But what's the point? It sure it made you stronger for a little bit, but what do we do with that? Why? You don't know what risks could be taken. I mean, I just picked up this stupid stone and I don't even want to let go of it now. Who knows what this potion's going to do to you in the long term?
I didn't really think about that before I drank it.
Well, let's think about it now then, before we have someone else drink it, right?
Hey, Grubby, do you
I'm
have,
a reminder. I'm holding on to the grubby potion. I have it.
Yes,
I
you
have
have
the
Grubby,
the.
do you
grubby
have
elixir.
corks for these things?
He
These
says,
glasses, these cups, something
uh,
to paint it in, little vials.
he nods his
Make
head
glasses.
quickly. Yeah, he nods quickly. He says, "Yes, I have lids. Yeah." And
It's got lids.
he
Is
got
it
kind
okay
of
if we hold on to this grubby? I think it might be a bit dangerous left on its own.
he's nodding along, and the whole time you see him keep glancing towards Vita's feet. Well, all of a sudden, like still the sand is kind of slowly moving on its own around your feet, Vita. And he's kind of glowing for a lid.
Really, Grubby, that's the thing you're concerned with, the sand moving.
He
Not that this
says,
guy just got an inch taller.
But why are you concerned about it? Let's not
he
patronize him.
says, I'm not concerned. And he kind of looks at the potion in your hand, Turlon, and he says, I would, if that's what he's doing, can you? And he kind of looks to you, Vita, and he says,
What?
you said you're moving it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not intentionally moving it, but I mean, I lifted my foot up and it stopped moving.
Can
Maybe you
you,
could control the
could you
storm
move it?
too.
Can you move it a different way?
I'm
Is that you
thinking. I'm
trying to
trying
do it?
hard. Yeah.
Is,
Can I do it?
what are you trying to do with the sand?
I'm trying to think as hard as I can in my head, but it's spinning clockwise now instead of
Want to move it the other
counterclockwise.
way? Give me a d20 roll, and you're going to add 1 to it.
Three.
I'll say you're closing your eyes and you're trying hard to focus. And I'll say that Felix and Turlon and Grobby included look at your feet, and just for but a moment, the sand stops moving. But then after like half a second, it keeps moving again as you concentrate on it and you don't seem to do anything. But it did stop
Yeah, I
for a
can't do
moment.
it. No, I can't. I can't move it.
Yeah, maybe if you had more.
Don't say
If
that.
you, if you
Oh,
can
yeah.
control the sand, it might naturally follow that you can control the storm. I mean, if whatever this thing is, drinking this crystals, grubby. I kind of pause. I turn. What did? How? What? Why are you doing any of this?
Where did you get this?
Is there method to this? Did you read it in a book? Did you discover this? I hope you understand. We found a group of, it must have been 40 researchers
40
in a full
people.
equipped lab doing the same thing. I don't mean to imply that you aren't as smart as all 40 of those people combined, but it seems that it seems
I would never say that.
it,
Anyway,
it seems that they had a whole team to do this. So
Well,
huh.
I didn't do it, did I? I mean, I just found sparkly sand, and then
But you're,
I
you're the one who
melted it.
mixed it up.
I just melted it.
Why? Just to make glass?
You said that they melted crystals.
So
Isn't
have
this
you
what
never
they
done
did?
this before? Have you never done this before?
He
This
says,
is your first time doing this.
he says,
Brand new.
he says, I tried to melt it before, and it turned into goo, and it ruined whatever I was trying to make. I don't remember. I think it
Oh,
was a
it's an
cup or
asshole.
something, and so I didn't like it, but I still kept it. It was sparkly, and then you come here and you drink it, and now you're moving sand. He points at you, Vita. He says, I gotta find more of this stuff, but
Yes,
it's
you
really
do.
it's really annoying because I tried to go back to that same
Robbie,
spot the next time
think,
I was looking for sand and I couldn't find it. It was gone.
would you give us a moment, Grubby?
It's
Hold on
grobby,
here.
but
Step
yes.
5 feet
I
to
said,
the
I said,
side.
I said Grobby. I said Grobby. If I didn't actually say Grobby, I meant to say Grobby.
Okay.
I know his name. I turn to the three of you and I say in Elvish, we shouldn't let this get out, right? We should have him keep this as a secret.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he can
We've
get
seen
us
what one
more of
person
this.
can. Well, we don't need him to get us more of this. We can get us more of this.
Oh yeah.
But the point is, if this technology, I guess technology is not great, but if this method gets out, other people might harness it to do something like what he did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
this
might have
is
messed
really
up.
easy.
We should keep this to ourselves. Well, we don't know how easy it is to work at scale, because Vida right now, after one glass, can barely move dust on the ground.
I mean, getting it. You just had to melt it
Right.
and drink it. It's
Ah, in English, sorry, it's grobby, right? I don't want to fuck
Yes.
it up.
Robbie with a
It's
G.
Robbie with a G, of
I
course.
said grog. That's what I said. Grubby.
Grubby. Sorry.
Thank you. You've discovered something that is very helpful in this moment, but I think it's best to keep it a secret. I don't know if you understand the gravity of the situation or how much of the conversation we were having earlier that you overheard, but I believe it is possible that the storm that hit your village, this same method was used to move that storm in an attempt to make it hit another village, another bigger city. Someone using this ability that you have discovered for us at scale might be able to do vast damage. Do you understand?
Make a. How do you want to go about it? Are you trying to intimidate or are you trying to
I'm not trying to
convince?
intimidate. I think this person seems genuine, and I am
Hmm.
trying to explain to them, I think rather plainly,
Hmm.
I might be doing it a little condescendingly because I think he's kind of stupid. And
Is he
I'm
stupid?
not the nicest person ever.
Hmm.
But like I'm somewhat plainly telling him that this is dangerous. You need to keep it a secret.
Then do a diplomacy check for me. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, I should.
Yeah, something
All
like
right,
that.
natural one. Dylan, yell
Oh,
all you want. 0 points. Literally can't get worse.
Gonna read that mechanic. One dead.
Well, technically, I think with our 2-hour sessions, we should really only have a hero point every other session because it's designed to be used to every 4 hours of play. But
we just got to start doing 4-hour sessions.
goaded.
I'll say that for but a moment, you consider your first. I'll say for but a moment, you are choosing your words very carefully because you think he's kind of stupid. So you're trying not to come off as condescending. And so for a moment, you are starting to sound a little condescending, but you bring it right back and you're able to kind of talk to this guy one on one. And because at first he was kind of frowning at being like keeping it secret, but as you're explaining more and more, he says, "Oh, you're right. I guess I can keep this a secret." And he's kind of looking around and he says, "But I should find more of it so that I can keep it here so other people don't find it, yes?"
Yes.
Well, maybe if you have all of it stockpiled here and someone does find it,
No one will
they would
find it.
have a
No one knows about Grobby's hole.
Don't call it that, man.
You know, Grobby.
Why not?
Robbie, are you sure no one else knows about the hole?
He said, "Well, some people do know about the hole, but they don't know about what's in here. Why would they ever come down? No one comes down here."
Who know? Okay, well, who knows about this Who knows about
Well,
your
Mrs.
home?
Fireton and Mother Donipin, and
Okay.
no one else really speaks with me, but maybe they've seen me walk out here a few times.
Robbie, you know,
Foul, Kevin.
we're actually
Foul.
we're actually down a member. Um,
Shut up! No.
I think
Vita, he has to
it
stay
just
here
makes
with
more
his
sense
hole.
for you to come with us, because then no one can find your stash, no one can find your hole. You're with
I
us,
think
you're supplying us. You fit right in. You look kind of just like him, the guy that we used to have too.
that's a kind thing of this Vita, but I think we need someone guarding the hold.
He says,
All right.
"You're right, and I don't. You seem like dangerous doing dangerous things. I've met some people that are dangerous before." And he starts going uh like uh the books that are now covered in kind of this warm sand, and he starts ruffling through them, and he says, I've met people like you. I remember reading that. I wrote it down in the previous era. I've met some people just like you. And he starts ruffling through powers. Do any of you
Reading that
say
you wrote it
anything?
down.
Well, a funny little guy. He's a
What
funny
if he's
little
got
guy.
really important lore in these books,
We're
and he's behind the guise of a crazy old man?
crazy old man can find what he wants. Like I'm curious. I'm already here.
Yeah,
You're just watching him rifle through.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
touching
Alright.
anything
Tell
here.
us who.
He says, "Oh, I've met people just like you. Let me, just one moment." And he's pulling off stacks of books, and you see that written on these books and these large letters are just various numbers. And you see he's stacking them. You see 53, and then you see 47, and then you see like 42, and then he pulls up 41. And he says, okay, here it should be in this one. And he pulls it open. He starts rifling through the pages, and you can see these pages are just notes and notes and notes. They're all just in this handwriting that's in common. You can kind of pick up various words. But I'll say that as you're looking at it, you're seeing kind of the structure. It looks like there's indents every once in a while. And it looks like a journal that he has been keeping. And I'll say that just in general, this is Sumia like stuff. You know that people generally keep journals because of the whole memory thing. This is something I told you all like many sessions ago, like a year ago. So I just want to reiterate it
I remember.
that people like
I remember.
keep journals of their day-to-day life, especially older folks, just because uh, of the eras can change at any point, right? But younger people generally don't do it because they don't really see the importance of it. But so you all probably keep a journal just to like write down various things during your daily preparations about like what happened that day, or like I guess not during your daily preparations, but for like bedtime and stuff. So that's just a side thing. But you know that's up to you as your characters if you think your characters would care about that kind of thing, because you can't remember anything that happened before 5 years ago. But anyway, that's a whole side tangent. So you all you see he's rifling through, and he says, yes, here it is. Here it is. I think this is it. I think this is it. And he kind of holds up the book, and he's reading it in the firelight, and he's kind of squinting at it, and he says, yes, it was day 2553 of the previous era. There was a group that came to my shop, and they were looking for, it was a group much like you, and they were dressed in these very different foreign clothes like you all were, and it looks like he's kind of reading off of it because if it was in the previous era, he obviously doesn't remember it. But he says, dressed in very strange clothes, and they were looking for a glass container in order to hold this green, slimy little creature that was trying to escape. And anything it would be put in, it would start eating out of it. So they needed something glass because it wouldn't eat out. And of course, they came to my shop. I make the best glass, so I needed to make sure that I made the best container for them. So I quickly came down here and I made my thing, and I went up into my shop and I gave it to him, and he's just like reading it off as if he's
I
just
pull
reading
out the
off a
green
list.
orb.
Yeah,
Not
that
this
you
thing.
have. He says, "Oh, well, no, not that. It was something similar, but that is something that's. What is that?"
Phew.
You seem more qualified than me, Grubby. I don't know.
He tries to
Found it,
just take it from you.
I Pull it back.
You hear a voice in your head. No, I'm just kidding. You
This
get
one's
this.
just common sense.
It's but well, hang on. I like to hold on to it. Just be careful, Grubby.
He says,
I
"I'll be
frankly, I
careful."
don't know what happened if I would drop it. So that
He says, "I handle
hate
glass
to
all the
drag you
time.
on.
Don't worry." Yeah.
Okay, but he's still a little baby mode and grab it from me. I like hand it to him slowly.
Okay. He takes it and he's looking around, and I'll say that Felix and Vita, you had not seen this before because Turlon had taken this off of the Bugbear's body uh, way back when you're at Ron Rongo's place, ironically, another stupid character.
Ironically.
Oh my god, do you see what works?
Oh boy, oh boy.
That is canonically,
Oh.
that's
Dude,
canonically
stop.
canon. Canon. That is Sumia canon. Fucked up MS of an evil purple sword speaking of runes. That's fucking crazy.
Can you make that? Can I,
Wide array.
Steven, when you make a custom item for me for this, can you make that in a
Yes,
picture?
absolutely. Absolutely. That is what's
Does it
happening.
actually have a mouth on it? Is that canon now?
No, that is not canon. But the stone and some of the runes do look kind of like what I was going for. These very
Yeah.
rough sketches of
Okay.
runes. Maybe not all circles.
All right.
That's better than I could have ever hoped for.
Honestly.
Evil stone.
Also, I got about 10 more minutes in me.
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll be finishing up here soon. But he says he's kind of looking at it. So Vita and Felix, you have not seen this stone before or this thing before, and to be honest with you, you probably don't know that it's from the bugbear. So it's just Turlon's just pulling out this sphere. So it's this glass sphere that has this greenish liquid that's like 95% of it, right? Like there's probably a small air bubble, but it's this greenish liquid that has these black streaks throughout it. And it kind of, like when you move it, right, since it's a liquid within, it kind of moves with it, but it's this weird distortion effect because you turn it like this and it doesn't. The liquid inside kind of continues to be settled. So it's this weird green liquid with like these black streaks in it. And he's taking a look at it and he says, "Well, I can say that the glass ball is quite shoddily made. I would definitely make a much better one, but for the liquid within it, well, I'm not entirely sure. Why do you have this? Do you not know what you said? You don't know what would happen if you broke it. Then why do you have it?"
I found it on a dead body.
He says, "Oh, that's weird.
Oh.
Well, you probably wouldn't
I shrug.
you probably wouldn't want to drop this because I will say that this glass is, he's kind of looking at it in the light. This glass is very thin. It's almost made as if it's meant to break. I'm not entirely sure. You should
I walk
definitely be
back
very
and,
careful with this."
I like put my hand out to take it back, presuming he's done looking.
Yeah, you hand
I
it.
I unbutton my coat and pull it out, and he sees like probably like a 4x5 grid of pockets full of like embalmed animal parts and like
Normal.
teeth and
Normal.
like jars of I don't know fucking goop, and I
Yeah.
like shove it into a pocket and I just like close it again.
Says you have lots of very cool things.
Steven, I had the urge to say yes, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I nod. I say, yes, there are things I found throughout my travels. I find that many different things can be a conduit for old magic, so to speak.
He's just nodding along, but you can see in his eyes that he's not really following what you're saying. And he says, "Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah." He says, "Well, yeah, you people like you are very interesting. I don't think I could ever join you all. I mean, you're probably going to be
No, I
doing
don't
something
think you could.
crazy next, but
No, I
I
don't think you could.
I'll
No,
definitely
not like I'm just like, no man, I don't want you here. I think it's a bad idea. You're right. It's a bad idea.
I say, give us one more moment, Grubby. And I would use in Elvish again. Well, let's take inventory of our situation. We seem to maybe have a method of controlling, well, I suppose all weather, but the storm at least, at the moment, with given enough conduit and power. And we have an explanation for how what was being done on Vaku's Peak. We don't really have an explanation for how they discovered it, but it might be a method for us to avert further damage.
Didn't Jujon need to? That's his name, right?
Yep, Shujon.
Jujon, didn't he need to keep drinking this stuff?
It did.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll need
Well,
more.
what it
So
seems
Wait, it's
like
gonna run
is
out?
it seems, yes.
Yeah.
I gotta
Did
do
we ever?
something with
Did
this.
we ever figure that out? If it was like a timed thing, or if it
I'll
was?
say as you look down, the sand is no longer moving beneath your feet.
No.
You
Okay,
need.
well, it's
You,
pretty quick then.
let's not get addicted, Vita, but you'll need to get a lot of it. So perhaps we ask him nicely to keep gathering more for us, and we have a frank conversation with Donovan, Mother Donovan, and tell her what we know, but not how he did it, and that it's best to leave the secret, lest someone with ill intent gets a hold of it.
So that all
And more
makes
importantly,
sense.
to keep it to us. I think it would be a great boon for us to have this power.
Unfortunately, I don't think it helps us at all from where we started before we met Grobby, because we still don't have an answer to get to 08 or stop the storm now. We need a lot more of this if we're gonna do anything. But it's a good little. We got this guy in our pocket, I guess.
Felix's. I'm not gonna say anything, but my first thought, and by proxy, Felix's was, if only I could speak to Earth elementals, I could just ask them where the sand is.
Oh, damn it.
But I can't. They speak like Terran or whatever.
Okay.
Bullshit, stupid Earth language. Fuck
Ugh.
you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, dude.
Well, I think we're in a good place to figure this out.
We end the session in Grobby's basement,
Yes.
which is also his whole house.
Yay.
Yep. Not where his shop is
Grubby!
though.
Yeah,
His
no, I
shop
don't.
is somewhere else.
I doubt he has a shop. I'm gonna
We've
be
got
real.
one vial of this stuff.
Well, we could
For
get more
Lon.
though.
Yep,
Yeah, well,
Kellen's
yeah,
got a
for
vial.
now we do.
I have the vial. I'm gonna call it the grubby soup in my
Mm.
inventory.
Okay.
There
sure,
is a
man.
name for it, but
Sure.
you can call it that. You don't know
What
the
is the
name for
actual
it.
name?
You don't know, so
Okay.
We don't
you have
know.
to call
We
it
don't know
something.
the name.